shut down. Google is shut down. Yahoo is shut down. Zoom, Teams is shut down. Key payment systems like MasterCard, Visa, Discovery is shut down. How many of you will do very fine? Can I see your hands up, please? I'm not saying anyone. Why? And I'll tell you an interesting story. I can't remember exactly when it happened, but one of the top players globally in all this conflict around the world, a judge, International Criminal Court judge, issued a warrant for his arrest. Interesting, right? And do you know what the retaliation is? Who can tell me? They knocked him off the internet. They took off his email, his Outlook, his credit card. In fact, I can tell a lot of you that you have not assumed life without these things. Some of you won't even be able to travel back if your credit cards don't work. And yet, my question is, we are so dependent on it without any form of ownership. Don't forget, I'm not clamoring for let's do without them, but ownership means that to a large extent we begin to build plug-and-play frameworks. Frameworks that if there's a disconnect, we will still function. Don't forget, the closest analogy I can give to it will be when we used to do software in form of ownership, where you buy a license, you have a permanent license until the new model comes out. That way, even if there's a disconnect, you continue to function, right? But now we've moved to application as a service. It means that every impact on OneDrive or whatever application, Dynamics that you use will impact on you. And I'll tell you that we might try to ignore these things. Certain countries, certain institutions have moved. They've seen clearly that there is a difference in security in our mind and security with deep ownership of the structure and infrastructure behind it. One is the Chinese government in terms of DeepSeek. All of you, we all know that when ChatGPT launched, it was a big deal. But how did we respond? How did Kenya respond? How did Africa respond? We jumped on it and started using it, and we're excited with the results it gave us, right? But that's not how the Chinese looked at it. They responded with DeepSeek. Am I right? Because they understood that ownership is critical for security. They understood that this journey, as dangerous as it is, if we leave the narrative to foreign medias or government, we will lose on the long haul. So also, I'll look at the Indians in terms of Zoho. How many of you know Zoho? Zoho used to be maybe 90% cheaper than it is now when I started using it. But do you know that the Indian government directed all its public enterprises to switch to Zoho? How many of you are aware of that? That's a mandate for the government, for the government to use homegrown applications because of the importance in form of national security and value. And I can go on and on and on. One of our sponsors here, Kaspersky. If I go to US now with my laptop with Kaspersky, I can't do anything. It continues to flag it until it's disabled. Why? The government banned it, saying it could be weaponized. Any antivirus or system we use could also be weaponized. But they understood the importance when it comes to national security. How come we don't? So, sovereignty is a form of defense. Not just a form, but it's the best defense. You have to have some form of ownership to the value, adding to the value chain. Now, when we look at it from an African landscape, the form of assault and value that would get from agentic AI, AI itself is enormous. Enormous in terms of benefit, enormous in terms of risk. In some part of the world, you have driverless cars, you have automated systems, you have different things that work very well. What will happen if they are compromised? So the risk is growing. Also, the benefits. And we, as practitioners, need to sit up and balance it. Need to start to plan how we will build strong frameworks, strong systems that will give us value at the end of the day. Now, when we talk about the future of AI, three things: infrastructure, right? People, and the models. Which one do we have? I did a quick map and looked at the data center capacity that we have across Africa. It will surprise you how small in terms of capacity we have. This is the US with over. Why am I looking at the rise of AI in terms of security? I'm minded. We just want to spend. We just want to spend. We just want to spend. We don't build.